Welcome to the 101st episode of the New Ventures podcast. I am your host, Sanjoy Sanyal, the founder of Regain Paradise, a boutique climate finance firm and a visiting fellow at the Cambridge Judge Business School. Our guest for today is Ms. Jinny Tantipipatpong, the Executive Director of the Siam Agro-Food Industry and the Director of the Thai Pineapple Canning Industry Corporation. Welcome, Jinny.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here today.
Jinny, I've heard so much about you from our previous guest, Arnab, and it's fascinating to host you on our podcast. Arnab told me that you know the Thai pineapple industry like nobody else.
I guess I grew up in the industry. I'm part of the business that founded this industry in Thailand, basically.
So tell us a little bit about just growing up, how you got into the industry, your family maybe.
Yes. Well, certainly. Actually, the business started off with the Thai pineapple canning industry corporation. It was about almost 60 years ago when my parents decided that they wanted to invest in the food processing business, and pineapple being probably the most harvested fruit in Thailand, and they were just so abundant of it in Thailand. And they were just going to waste on the field. At that time, Thailand was not much of the food processing plant. Seeing that Taiwan was actually more advanced in terms of the food processing. So my parents decided that we want to do something to help the farmers and not let those fruits just rotted away in the field. So we started a factory in Prachuap Khiri Khan, Pramuri, which is very near to Hua Hin. And that was about 60 years ago.
Wow, 60 years ago. But you're also the director of the Siam Agro-Food Industry.
Yes. I'm trying because I'm the second generation. My father, my parents was the first generation in the business. And so over the years, I grew up in the business after I graduated from university in the US. Then I always wanted to come back and continue the family business. So we were looking at the opportunity to expand. And there were several factories, companies in Thailand that doing the same product. So there's an opportunity that came up back in 2004 when Siam Agro, which is located on the other side of the country, because TPC or Thai Pineapple Canning, we were located in the south. And when Siam Agro, the opportunity came up, they're located in the east side of Bangkok. So I thought that would be a good strategic location because we have one factory in the west and the other factory in the east. So that would supplement if, say, the supply is short on one side of the country, then we can do it from the other side. So I took over, and that's when we have Siam Agro on board. And so we restructured the business a little bit, and Thai Pineapple Canning become a holding company, and Siam Agro then become the production company that manage both factories.
Right. I'm very curious to know about this going to the US, studying and coming back. Just tell us a little bit about that part of your life.
I think it's quite normal. There's a lot of families in Thailand that send their kids overseas to study. It's not that our education in Thailand is not good enough, but I think the opportunity to learn, to expose ourselves, to the world, get more acquainted, used to, and more familiar with the languages. In fact, my parents decided to send me over to Singapore in high school. So I get to learn Mandarin, Chinese. That was very helpful today because I can still use the language and talk to my potential customer in China. And then after high school in Singapore, then decided that why don't I just continue my further education overseas. So that's when I ended up in the Los Angeles.
I mean, just curious, when you went to Los Angeles, it's a big city. Singapore is also a big city, but Los Angeles is in another level. And you came from Asia. You might have traveled, but you are young and impressionable. What was just the one thing that, let's say, you took back from the United States in the way you manage your business today?
I have to say that it's probably my study in the university, because that time I choose, because my love for business. I seen my parents grow the business and support the family, and I think that, it's something that I wanted to do to continue. So when I went to LA, I decided that I wanted to do accounting, and it was a good study. It gave me the in-depth of how to run the business. In terms of social life there, I think that maybe I'm a bit quiet. I'm not very sociable, but it still gave me a good exposure to the different culture, to have friends overseas. But if I would have studied in the East Coast, I think that it's just totally different culture from the West and the East.
True. And now you have Time Canning as the holding company and CM Agro as sort of production unit. I think it'll be useful for us to tell our audience, what does the company manufacture?
Yes, so just like I mentioned that there's plenty of pineapple in Thailand. So my main business is still the core business is still in processing of pineapple fruit. We put into the can different sizes, from the small size to the big size, and the main market is USA. And apparently in the US, they consume so much canned goods and they use a lot of canned pineapple. When we want to expand business, I say, to expand the business, to do it organically is a bit more difficult, because you need to be able to secure more fruit from the same area. And maybe we need to expand the production capacity. So the easiest way to expand the business is just through M&A, merger and acquisition. So that's when we took over Cycle. But we're still maintaining the same product, because apparently it's the biggest consumption of canned fruits in the world is still in pineapple. Peach or some other fruits are still trailing far behind. So that gave us an opportunity to double the size of production.
Right. Pineapple can be consumed fresh, it can be consumed as a juice, it can be consumed canned.
Yes.
Just give us a sense of the overall statistics of how is pineapple consumed, where does the consumption happen, and who supplies what type of pineapple?
The major growing countries, the processing countries, are actually Thailand, Philippines, and Indonesia. Initially, they were in Hawaii, but everything in Hawaii is too expensive. Eventually, Doe and Del Monte, who have plants in Hawaii, decided to close down. So they all moved the production to Asia. So there's Philippines and Thailand and Indonesia. There's some processing plants also in Africa region, like in Kenya, in South Africa, and some other countries. Recently, there was another factory that opened up about 5 to 10 years ago in Costa Rica. But the main producing countries are still in Asia. So when they say that it's in canned fruits, because pineapple is tropical. You can't find it, not like apples or pear or some fruit that's more continental. You can still get it in the US or in Europe. So pineapple being tropical fruit, there's still a lot of demand. It's quite exotic. And in fact, the fruit that actually complement well with dessert and also with savory food. In the US, they use pineapple during the festive season. Thanksgiving and Christmas, and also Easter when they have ham or turkey.
And it goes with pizza as well.
Yes, pizza become it's just a conventional food that consumed just everywhere. But in the US, it's the only place where you can find Hawaiian pizza.
Right. And when you say Asian is the main pineapple exporting countries, does these Asian countries produce juice?
Yeah, we do that because basically when you process any raw material, you're trying to maximize the production yield as much as possible. So what do you do with the remaining pineapple meat if you can't put into the can? What do you do with the peels? What do you do with the rest of it? Everything. The main product would be the can. So anything good part after peeling of the pineapple go into the can first. And then go into as a slice or into the big pieces that we call chunks, or the smaller pieces, or even chopped pieces that we call crushed pineapples. It's all used up. In the US, they take crushed pineapple and they would make pineapple pie, because the American love to bake. So they do that. So I was curious why they use so much canned pineapple in crushed pineapple. As it turned out, they do that for pie. They're baking as pie. Very interesting. And after that, whatever that is remained that you can't put into the can, we can't throw it away because everything is all cost. So we take the remaining meat and we extract the juice out of it and we make it into the concentrate. So instead of shipping water as a single strength juice, we ship as a concentrate so that the bottler at the destination, US or anybody, that include like Tropicana brand, Coca-Cola brand, they will take the concentrate, they dilute it or they mix with other juices and they bottle it. And then we also have the peels that we don't throw away. Many of the processors, including us, we extract the juice out from the peel. Any remaining liquid we extract out from the peel, go to the process, and we can make fruit syrup. It's become a clear syrup like sugar. But it's not sugar. Sugar is not good for health. So you get this natural fruit syrup that you can use as an ingredient for beverage.
What I'm taking away is that not a single part of the fruit is wasted, because that would be really horrible, actually. Also, tell us a little bit about the farmers who grow the pineapples. In which part of Thailand are the pineapples grown? These farmers only growing pineapple, or I presume they grow other crops as well. Are they large farmers, small farmers in the context of Thailand? Just give us a little sense of that, please.
In Thailand, we are small farmers, small farm scale, not a big corporate farm like you may see in the US with the soybean or with corn or maize. They do like thousands and thousands of hectares. In Thailand, they're all grown by small individual farmers. We're talking about maybe a couple of acres or 10 acres the most. Any bigger than that is considered as a large farm scale, but they're all owned by small farmers. So in a way, because of this structure, I think that the farmers, they're able to, or the most of the population, they're able to make living. Like in Thailand with rice, it's all small farmers and they have making the living growing rice. The same thing with fruit, with pineapple. And then the farmers will have a contract with the factories, try to support them, they support us. The factory will make the contract with farmers so that we know exact supply that we will have. In terms of prices, we just go along at a market price if there's a lot of supply or anything that we can help, so that we try to also sustain the living for the farmers. We're not trying to take any advantage of them. Unlike some other countries, like in the Philippines and Indonesia, their farming are owned by corporate. Thailand is definitely different. Is a small farmers.
When you say small farmers, I mean, how small? And do they only grow pineapple? But when is the pineapple growing season?
Though the growing season is actually all year, but we do harvesting almost a whole year except for our rainy season, which is about now, July until September. It's a rainy season, the field is too wet, so nobody wants to work in the field this time. But otherwise, the planting and the harvesting occur about 10 months in a year. When I said about small, they are quite small. You're talking about a couple of acres up until maybe about 20 or 30 acres. Not big, because some of the land are probably owned by investors on the bigger scale. So you may have the farmers lease the land to grow and supply fruits for processing. But you're talking about the size of land that the farmer own may not be large, but some of them may lease the land from some of the landowners.
Right. So these are small farmers. In the last 2 years, we've had El Nino, right? And this, when I was looking at the
Right.
annual reports of the Thai pineapple listed companies, and it has been very, it's been very bad to say the least.
Well, definitely, because in Thailand, when everything owned by small farmers, they don't invest in the irrigation system. And so everything's rely on the nature. If we have good rain, we have good crop. There's no rain, we don't have a good crop. And that's when the cycle of this El Nino, La Nina come into a major play on the productivity from the farm. And so in last 2 years, it was reported to be the worst El Nino ever at that time. And the estimate of the damage is not just only in Thailand, but worldwide, because when you talk El Nino is a global phenomena. And so it's very difficult when we have an El Nino, how do we manage the supply? The price would go up tremendously, and we're seeing as we have to pass on the price to the customers and finally to the consumers. So it's something inevitable.
When you say that this has been the worst El Nino, I mean, El Nino cycles are not unknown in Asia. I mean, old timers in industry, or even you, seen anything like this, or what happened?
We can predict, and joy. It's not like we don't know what is coming in the next couple of years, because there's always a cycle. And it used to be a cycle of every about 5 years. That 5 years we have a very bad weather, and then we have good weather that follow that. But that cycle is changed. Maybe it has to do with the global warming. Instead of having a cycle of 4 or 5 years, and now it becomes shorter, and now it's almost unpredictable. Or even if I try to follow the report of the Climate Prediction Center, which is a center in the US where they do this measuring of the temperature on the sea surface, it still could be wrong. Things because the global warming could be the impact of what is happening, changing the climate worldwide. So it become more difficult. And when there was a prediction of La Nina starting last year, but the rain didn't really happen until this year. And so everything was shifted. It is a bit more difficult to predict at the moment. So because we were supposed to have La Nina last year, but we did not have it until this year. So whatever we expect to be good in the first half of this year did not happen. So it become much more difficult. So when you're talking about all this La Nina, El Nino, global warming, it become more challenging.
I remember that because, all of us Asians were tracking those predictions. I mean, remember exactly what you're saying. So in 2023, early March, I think, it was becoming clear there'll be an El Nino coming, right? When did you get to know about it? Did your farmers start preparing, or were they completely caught by surprise?
We have some warning, there's sign. We talk to the farmers. We do everything that we can. The problem is that because when there's no irrigation system, the farmers do rely on the natural rain. But of course, with the El Nino, it means there's no rain. So some of the farmers who can afford it, they will have a truck, the tanker to truck water and then spray it onto the field. But it's not just about lacking of rain, but it's the temperature. So if the temperature is too warm, no matter how much water you put it in, it's still affecting the yield. So that was something that you cannot prevent. Because we're not growing pineapple in the greenhouse where can we do under the controlled temperature, things like that. So it's a bit more difficult. And it's just not affecting only pineapple, it's affecting oranges, affecting any other crops worldwide. In fact, when the oranges in Brazil was bad, there is a windfall for us because we can sell pineapple juice concentrate at a very high price, historically high. But this is something that is all unpredictable. We just never know what will happen. There was sign, but at the end, the extent of the damage, the extent of the impact, we really cannot predict.
Right, absolutely, Jinny. And you brought up the oranges failure in Brazil, actually, and Florida oranges, for example, has been going through terrible times because of the disease. I'm just curious to know, after 2 years like this, how has the industry changed? And I was looking up one Florida orange company, which has actually closed down its oranges business. Very sad, actually, if you think about it, and canceled its contract with Tropicana. They decided to develop real estate in its properties. The Thailand for pineapple processing companies, there are many of them. Some of them are big like yours and they're listed, but there are, I suspect, several of them. Has the industry shrunk? Have farmers switched to other crops? Because farmers get into debt. So just 2 years on, how has the industry changed?
Now that you brought it up, it's very unfortunate that some of the packers have not been doing well. Just last year, there was an announcement by one of the biggest producer in Thailand, and it's a company that listed in the stock market, and is known as TIPCO, the Thai Pineapple Industry, TIPCO. Yeah. And so they have decided to quit the industry as well. And that's because they think that there's no future in the business. And they probably do not see the return on the investment good enough. So they decided to quit. For me, I would still think that, I have a certain passion for the business. I still would like to keep the business as long as we can.
I can well understand the passion. It's not just you, it's your parents and the whole.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something, I grow up with it, and then it's the passion. I'm sure that whatever the problem is, there's always a solution. How do you manage? How do you restructure the business? And of course, before, when you study in all this business school, they talk about the core product, whether you should diversify or should centralize, or you do whatever. So at the end, we were doing only one core product, which is the pineapple. And then we realized that, when you put too much emphasis and concentration in one product, and if that product did not give you the return, it collapsed, really. So now we have to say, okay, do we do diversification? What do we do? You will see that in the industry today, in the pineapple industry, no one factory that only focus on one product. Every one of us are trying to diversify into other products and try to, even if we have to downsize this, make it more, rationalize the processing plant or anything. But it's just how do we manage that, you say, all this risk management, and also doing the diversification as part of risk management.
Right. And what about the farmers? They're the most vulnerable, right?
Actually, in the last couple of years, the last 5 years, they're doing pretty well because the fruit price has been quite favorable. It hit the industry, it hit the consumer, but it's quite favorable to the farmers. But it's true, in any land, they have the option to convert to other crops. Not everything that they can do, but like in the West, where TPC is located, and depending on what other industry are in the area. So we've seen that they can grow pineapple or they can grow sugar cane. A lot of them wanting to do coconut water, because the coconut seems to be like on the growing. On the east side, they can do pineapple, they can do tapioca, they can also do some other crops as well. Yes, so the farmers have a choice whether they want to switch to any crop. So they can monitor, the farmers will also monitor the prices of the agricultural produce, and then they may change to what they think should give them the highest return.
Right. Absolutely. I think the fact that prices have risen for a few years continuously have probably given people some cushion. And I think just the ability to switch to other products based on market demands, that is important risk mitigation ability for individual farmers. In terms of farmers associations, in terms of just helping farmers navigate these crises a little bit, is there any initiatives that are going on in Thailand?
Well, I have to say that it's maybe more initiated by the company itself, the cooperation that we would try to build together with our farmers, but not so much of the initiation coming industry as a whole or even from the government. So it's more of the partnership between the factory and the farmers. How do we help each other to go through any obstacles that we may have in each year. Some year the supply may be so abundant that the price may reduce. How can we sustain the farmers so that they help the farmers so that they will not make too much losses and they still have some cash flow in order to invest in the field for the next year. But in certain time when the supply is very short and the price get higher, and the factory was only hoping that the farmers will not forget us and then try to sell the fruit to the other factories or offer higher price. It's more the partnership that we're looking at. So the support that we will have is probably just like, would there be any of these agriculture practice or anything help them to make sure that what can they do to increase the yield? That is more of what we are doing with the farmers. And so if they have the higher yield, they have a lower cost.
So, Jinny, one thing about the El Nino which really puzzled me is that I looked at the worldwide statistics of pineapple. Thailand had such a terrible year. It's an important producer. But, the production worldwide, I mean, I'm just looking at the FAO statistics, did not actually go down because I suppose, the production in Indonesia, and that to me was just blew my mind. And maybe you have an explanation for that.
El Nino affect the whole region, Sanjoy, Thailand, Indonesia, and the Philippines. But as I mentioned earlier, Thailand farming are actually owned by a small size farmer, while Indonesia and the Philippines, they're corporate-owned farm. So as a corporate-owned farm, they have the investment in irrigation system or they have any measures or anything to prevent any damages to the field. But with the small farmers, it's more difficult for them to do anything. So they rely naturally more on the rain. So if there's no rain, the production yield goes down. So that's why we're seeing a lot more reduction in supply from Thailand.
Exactly. Just to end this El Nino conversation, the higher rainfalls during La Nina that was expected to come last year, but you are saying it has come this year, is it? So,
Yes.
yeah, so this year will be much better, hopefully.
In terms of the raining, the amount of rain this year is much better than last year. The overall temperature has been reducing. That's good. It's not very hot this year compared to last year, the year before. So that's great. So hopefully our next season will be starting from about September, October up until the next year of July. Hopefully the next 10 months we have good supply because we had suffered in the last couple of years.
And the ability of fruit industries in general to bounce back. I've been looking at these numbers. It's always amazes me because you brought up Brazil orange drought last year. And then, it has bounced back. And I'm hearing the same thing
Yes, it has.
from your Thailand pineapple industry. So, Jinny, you brought up this issue of a diversification earlier. You probably have a diversification plan which involves using the pineapple skin for sustainable textile.
Yeah, it's not the skin, Sanjoy, it's more from the fiber from the leaves. Because Thailand, we produce so much pineapple and there's so much plants on the field that every couple of years there have to be clear up, and then plow, and then we prepare the field for the new planting. So there was so much plants, so much leaves on the field. In fact, I'm looking for more sustainability as well. What should we sustain? How do we keep that sustainability? And basically, can you do without the waste? Certainly you don't want to have all the waste. You want to be able to recycle whatever to do some value added coming from it. So there were two products that you can do from the plants. One is the leaf. You do the fiber from the leaves, and that can go into the textile. We also do some other projects that if we don't do the textile, what else can we do into any other products that need to have more sustainable natural fiber. Another thing that you can produce is you extract the enzyme mobilin coming from the stem. In the plant, after you take off the leaf, you have this stem. You extract the mobilin from the stem, but that will be more expensive process to invest. So initially, I'm looking at doing the natural fiber coming from piper leaves.
Right. And obviously, it's not the skin because the skin is explained earlier on the pineapple fruit. So it leaves, which were probably being wasted earlier, is it?
That's true, yes.
Okay. I looked up this company you partner with, and it's a Singapore-based company, and it's in sustainable textiles, which is very interesting. Asia is also the largest producer of garments in the world, and we have Cambodia, Vietnam, India. Perhaps there are natural markets for your product. How did you get to know about this company? How did you partner? Tell us a little bit about that, please.
My partner is actually, we are in from the same industry. After he left the food processing, he think that maybe he still like to do something relating to fruit. And so he said, my partner said that he had this sustainability project, trying to turn agricultural waste, the leaves, into the fiber. So I find that very interesting. So I said, that is something that is also our policy, cycle policy, that we want to also look at the sustainability. And so we partner together. The focus at the moment is actually fiber for textile. And in fact, if you look at all the brand names, or even if you go and buy any sports shoes, sneakers, and you read it carefully, it all contains certain recycle. It can be recycled PE, PU, or whatever, or even polyester. Also now recycle cotton and fiber or any fiber can be used for textile. So it was something that the fashion house is looking to provide to the consumer, something which is sustainable. And we were just part of the supply chain.
Right. And so your business partner is this company called Nextervo, and the founder used to be running a fruit processing company in Thailand, and maybe he closed it down for whatever reason, but he still wanted to remain in the industry and still sustain the pineapple industry. And I think that's really interesting. The textile that you make, Jinny, tell us a little bit about that. Where is the process being done? Do you export the waste or bring it to Bangkok? What type of fabric is manufactured from that waste?
Well, initially we make the raw fiber before all the processing. Basically, you just take out the green chlorophyll out from the leaves. You get this raw fiber, and pineapple fiber is actually very tough, but it's not ready to be weave into garment. It has to go through certain processing. It should be mixed with maybe other type of fiber, synthetic or natural fiber, just to get into the quality that is good enough to weave into the fabric. Initially, we made some try in Thailand, but I have to admit that the cost in Thailand is just getting to be too expensive. So eventually, we actually moved our processing plant to Vietnam. It's still within a Southeast Asian country because in Vietnam also there's also pineapple fuel as well. So we move it into Vietnam, do these pineapple fiber, we clean it up, spin it until it become the yarn. And then the yarn we go and weave it via the other fiber. Because it's not a soft fiber, it's quite hard. So we have to find the application which is suitable, that you need some hard and thick, very strong fiber that type. So it goes into jeans, upholstery. The upholstery can go for the household decor, the furniture, things like that. For the textile will be, for fashion will be jeans. Then go into the shoes, upper part of shoes.
Right. Again, Vietnam is obviously the world's largest manufacturer of shoes, so there's a market there. But this is very interesting. It seems from what you already are saying, Jinny, that there is already a market for these type of woven fabric. So,
Yes.
what is the market acceptance that you're seeing in Vietnam or wherever?
Vietnam is actually the second largest exporter of garments. They have a whole supply chain from the raw material into the fabric and into the finished product garment. They were just OEM. They don't do the design, basically. So again, we still have to go and talk to the brand like Zara, which belong to Inditex, go and talk to all the brands that making jeans, and then they say that, because at the end it's their marketing. They should market that.
So you have to go and market to the brands, and then the
That's right.
brands will tell the OEMs that please buy this, make one lot or two lots initially. And is that happening?
Yeah, that's how we approach it. We don't approach the OEM manufacturer themselves because they only produce according to what the customers tell them to do. So we have to sell our concept to the fashion houses, to all this brand. And they're the one who make the test into the finished products and doing the costing and everything. And then they will talk to their OEM.
And is that happening? Are you seeing encouraging response from the brands?
It is actually slower than we have expected. And that's because, first of all, we set up the operation during the COVID pandemic time. So everything sort of slowed down. The economy was very badly hit by the pandemic. And now the economy is not doing very well. So you're looking at the consumer do not want to spend. So at the end, things are not going as fast, but I still believe in the sustainability products for the future.
Jenny, I really like the way you said this last sentence. I still believe in the sustainable products for the future. So just to make sure I understand this correctly, once you manufacture the pineapple fiber and then spin it into yarn and then weave it into fabric in Vietnam. So when you send the material from Thailand to Vietnam, do you actually just send the leaves?
No, we don't do that anymore, Sanjoy. So everything is actually processed in Vietnam at the moment. We have to stop the production in Thailand because of the cost. But at the moment, if you're talking about the textile industry, it's now we base that in Vietnam. But in Thailand, I am actually looking at restarting this fiber project again, but it may not be for the textile industry because the supply chain and textile industry in Thailand is almost zero now because we're not big manufacturer for garment. So Thailand is not. We are changing the focus. It still be pineapple fiber, but we're changing the focus from the textile industry, maybe going into plastic industry. We have biodegradable plastic, all these automotive parts that using the plastic, things like that. And with the law in Europe today, with the CBAM, reducing the carbon emission, trying to reduce the global warming, things like that. So there's a lot of push in terms of the sustainable, more natural product. So my focus is changed. It still be pineapple fiber, but not for the textile. Textile will be based in Vietnam. In Thailand, I'm doing a lot of projects today. It's still under the study. And then I still have to look at the cost, because at the end today, everybody talking about cost and cost. It cannot be too expensive.
That's the problem with sustainability. It's sustainable products because they have relatively, at this point, have less economies of scale, often tend to have higher costs. Let's say younger customers, and I've heard many of my podcast guests say this, that younger customers, they want to be more sustainable, but at the same time, they're struggling with the lack of jobs, very unaffordable housing markets, in food inflation, so they don't have the money to spend on some of these products, which is a really difficult problem to solve. So the only way to do this is to, as the way you are saying, is to reduce costs. We've come to the end of the podcast, Jinny, and what I really like about listening to you is that you are still doubling down on the industry, in the sense, at least the fruit industry. Maybe you will diversify into some other fruit, but maybe in your case, what I'm hearing you say, you'll actually get more and more into the supply chain, try and make new products out of them, of pineapple, and make them more sustainable, which is wonderful, actually. When you succeed, which I'm sure you will, in doing this, who will benefit? Well, obviously, you will benefit because you have a diversified source of income. But will the farmers? They will probably benefit because they also can sell the leaves, which earlier they couldn't sell at any price.
Right. Yes. Yes, but I'm not getting the free leaves from them. I'm trying to encourage them that if they, before they're actually plowing the field again, and then just pile it as all the leaves into the field as a fertilizer. If they're able to collect the leaves for us, they can still sell those leaves to us. So it's not free of charge. So in a way, we are creating an extra income. I want to create an extra income for the farmers as well.
Is that extra income going to be reasonable, or like at least, if a farmer makes X amount of money in a year, do you have a sense of how much extra money they would make, or is it too early?
It's too early today to say. And also, I need to actually do more study of where we're going to put the processing plant. Maybe we need to be somewhere in the middle of the field so that it's easier for the farmers to deliver the leaves to us. They don't have to transport because it's so bulky. And at the end, you don't want something to be so far away when you transport something so bulky, and all the costs go into transportation. The oil price today is not cheap at all.
We've come to the end of the podcast, Jinny, and this podcast is about climate change and food security, but it's still fundamentally a podcast about food. So to end, I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite food? What is your food heaven, as they say?
Being a Thai, so I always prefer my Thai food, and I'm happy to say that Thai food is so popular everywhere. It's very popular in India as well. The pineapple being the most consumed canned fruit, and there's a lot of applications. So it's something that maybe I encourage the chef worldwide to see how they can combine the fruit into the food. The one famous recipe from Thailand, you probably have heard of it, is the pineapple fried rice. Right? I don't think that there's any rice recipe where you put fruit into the dish. So pineapple fried rice, you just get a very nice combination of the pineapple fruit together with the shrimp and pork, fried together into the rice. It's just delicious.
I did hope people will look up the Thai pineapple fried rice recipe and try it in their homes. Even better than that, I would encourage people to go down to Bangkok. Not just Bangkok, the island is so beautiful. Let me just do a 10-second tourism pitch for Thailand. So beautiful. It's Chiang Mai in the north, and then the beautiful islands in the south. the Koh Lanta and Koh Samui and so on and so forth. It's a land of culture and heritage, and it's a land of very friendly people as well.
Yes, thank you.
And if people want to get in touch with you, how should they?
They can write to me on the email. I have my phone number, that my mobile number is also accessed through the WhatsApp. So if anybody in the audience have any questions, want to know anything more about us or any products, or want to try something new recipe you want, just write to me.
Fantastic. And we will have both Jinny's email and WhatsApp number on the show notes. So feel free to contact her, especially if you are looking for new ways to engage in the pineapple industry, or perhaps in the new ways of using the fabric from pineapple leaves. With that, thank you very much, Jinny. It was wonderful talking to you.
Well, thank you very much for having me today.